everybody. Fiber Spider back again with a new game for you. Previously on this channel, we've done quite a few games, but they've all involved playing with cards. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Wanted to introduce you to a game that is very simple, very accessible to new players to this type. This is called Into the Dungeon. This is all that you really need, this one little book. And it was written by Harry Connor, and it is a lot of fun. It's very quick, it's very simple, and I'm going to give you sort of a run through of what to expect. This is very different. This is a role-playing game and a choose your own adventure book all wrapped up into one. And all you need to play is the book, a pen, and some paper, and that's it. There's no cards, no dice, no crazy mechanics and whatnot to stumble over. No, all you have to do is pick a character, and there are several to choose from in the beginning of the book, or you can create your own. And based on that character's attributes, like strength and health and charisma and so forth, that determines whether or not you are successful in the choices that you make. The object is to get into the dungeon, collect some goodies, and get out of the dungeon without perishing. We'll see what happens. Now, I've already picked one of the characters, and the character is Locke, L-O-K, the Scrapper. And I wrote down these statistics right here to keep track. It's a health of 15 points, strength of 2, which is not great, dexterity of 5, which is pretty good, charisma of 1, and an intelligence of 3. So, I don't know, we'll see what happens. But I thought it would be fun to show you guys that, to play a role-playing game, or an RPG for short, you don't necessarily need to play Dungeons and Dragons and have a huge setup and little metal miniatures and so on and so forth. No, it can be really simple and a lot of fun. So let's dive into the dungeon. All right, so first things first, the entrance. This is the place. Here at the edge of the moors stand the last ruins of what was once a castle. Huge stone blocks trace out the rooms, and spiral staircases crumble upward to nowhere. Moss and cow parsley and clover carpet the rooms and creep up the old walls, everywhere but one last doorway. The stone arch stands intact and free of the ivy and lichen that coat the other stones, as if only the rain dare touch it. A well-trodden track winds through the ruins to the archway, beyond which thick stone steps, bowed in the center from years of footfalls, descend downward into a dark passage. You see footprints in the mud heading toward the passage, but none coming out. A cold rain begins to fall, the wind whipping it sideways and flattening the grass and clover in waves. You think you see a distant light somewhere in the dark of the passage, and it suddenly seems terribly inviting. Determined, you take a breath and patter downward into the darkness. As you descend, the passage widens out into a room lit with a faint, flickering torch. Turn to page 10. Okay, let's do that. The storeroom. You are standing in a storeroom full of sacks and boxes and the faint smell of rot. Yet it seems not nearly so old as the castle above. A heavy wooden door set with gleaming brass bolts and inlays leads off to your left. And at the end of the room, another passage continues downward. So, do I search the storeroom, examine the heavy door, or continue downward? I've got 3 choices. Each choice is a different page. I think I will search the storeroom where I'm currently at. So I'm going to turn to page 24. Okay. 24. Moldering supplies. you find several things best left behind. Bread rolls, moldering in strange colors, scraps of hide, though from what animal you cannot fathom, and a single cracked skull. But in the corner of a dusty box you come across a length of rope and a small bottle of sweet wine. And carefully stow them away into your pockets. So I'm going to add that to my notes. So I've got a length of rope and some wine. Okay. Rope and wine. Okay. So now from here, I've got two choices. I can turn to the heavy door, or I could continue downward. Well, I think I'm going to stay on this floor and I'm going to go to the heavy door on page 34. Well, we're going to go take a look-see. All right, so page 34, examining the heavy door. As you look closer, you see the brass patterns of the door are vines and ornament that entwine upward into a central insignia you do not recognize. Topped with a crown and surrounded by rich fruits and meats, you see no keyhole. Well, do I push the door, or do I return to the storeroom and continue on downward? I think I'm going to push the door. I'm going to press my luck. All right, so pushing the door, that is page 13. There we go. Okay, page 13. Ooh, a whir and a click. The door swings inward with an ease that doesn't seem to match its weight, and you hear a distant whir and click as a mechanism in the door frame seems to activate. You instinctively pull back as a small wooden bolt shoots downward from a gap in the ceiling above. Ooh. If your dexterity is 3 or above, you withdraw your hand just in time, and the bolt bounces harmlessly on the floor. If your dexterity is 2 or below, the bolt grazes by the side of your arm, and you take 2 points of damage. That is where the health aspect comes in. So, let's see. My dexterity is a 5, so I withdraw my hand just in time, and the bolt bounces harmlessly to the floor. So, 1 for us. All right, in either case, you gingerly step through the doorway with rather more care, and after a few steps, see a grand, bright stairway that curves upward. The stairs are carpeted and seem lit as if from torchlight or a great chandelier above that you cannot see. On hearing nothing further, you begin to slowly climb the steps. Turn to page 14. All right. Onwards and upwards, apparently. All right. The empty hall. The stairs climb and climb until you think you must be above ground level. As you climb, a few doors lead off to your left and to your right, but all are locked fast and immovable. Just when you think the staircase must be endless, it opens into a great hall. There is a long table lined with benches and a high-backed chair of plush red velvet at the far end. The table is laden with foods of all kinds, venison steaks and suckling pigs on beds of greens and butter, great pies and cakes and fishes and fruits, fresh eels and cheeses, bread pudding and jellies and tarts. The food steams as if brought fresh from the kitchens, and new candles flicker in silver candlesticks. But the benches lie still and empty. Mystery. Tapestries hang from the walls, and on the farthest wall above the chair is a portrait of a lordly man fresh from a hunt. He is smiling benevolently from a magnificent horse, the bloody corpse of a prize deer at his feet. The room is quiet and still, and quite empty of people. You see no doors leading from the room. So, do I approach the table? Or, unnerved, you descend back down the stairs to the storeroom and continue on downward. This is not the treasure you seek. Good question. I'm not sure. What should we do? Well, on the one hand, I would like to approach the table, because I am curious as a kitten. However, I am a little bit unnerved because, well, where did all this fresh food come from? And why is there nobody around? And I've heard plenty of fairy stories where if you eat something of the fairy realm, so to speak, you can become ensnared, trapped. I don't know. Well, you know what? Let's throw caution to the wind. We're having fun here. So I'm going, in spite of being unnerved and wanting to go back downstairs, I'll bite. So I'm going to approach the table. Turn to page 16. Okay. Uh-oh. Approaching the table. The food smells delicious, and you find yourself unable to recall when you last ate. Excuse me. A bowl of shiny apples sits right at the edge of the table. Oh no! You take a step forward. They look crisp and sweet. When did you last eat an apple that looked so good? You find you have picked up the apple and have it in your hand. It seems solid and ordinary. Okay, so now we have an intelligence check. If your intelligence is 4 or higher, you pause for a moment and look across the table. If your intelligence is 3 or below, you find yourself unable to resist taking a bite. Well, my intelligence is only 3, apparently. I am not the sharpest tool in the shed. So, bon appetit. All right, I took a bite, turned to page 26. See, I was afraid this might happen. Oh, dear. Oh, no. The Lord of Mirth and Merriment. You bite down, and the food is delicious, the greatest thing you have ever tasted. You see now that the tables are full of ordinary, merry guests, eating and drinking, and always had been. At the end of the table, the Lord smiles graciously and laughs and jokes with the others, and you sit at an empty space on the end of the bench, suddenly at ease. You find you have no desire to leave for now, and help yourself to the bread pudding. The turnips look very good too, and you're terribly hungry. You try the eels and the bramble pie, and think it best to taste some of the venison and pig and sausages before you leave, out of courtesy. The room is warm, the wine sweet, and the food wonderful and satisfying. You find yourself still hungry, perhaps more so than before, slowly eating and eating, each dish better than the last, and never seeming to run out. You find a deep pleasure in the very act of chewing and swallowing, the feel of the food in your throat, greater perhaps than anything you felt before. And when you begin to grab the food in great fistfuls, the other guests only laugh and join you. All thoughts of the dungeon and its treasures eventually fade from you, replaced only by a desire to consume. And there you remain, feasting at the Lord's table, where there are no days and no nights, and no end to the banquet. Your journey ends here. I guess that was my last supper. So, that was one of many possible adventures that you can have in Into the Dungeon. Now, granted, all I ended up with was a length of rope and a small bottle of wine and a very full tummy that, well, never seems to get full, apparently. I think this is a really clever way of combining storytelling with gaming in a very approachable and easy manner. And I really, really like this. If you haven't seen this before, I would say give it a whirl. It is also very reasonably priced. I got this, I believe it was on Amazon, for about $12.99. Very reasonable. Plenty of replay value because, I only did just one particular route. Now, if I played with a different character that had a lower dexterity, I would have gotten hurt. But if I had a higher intelligence, I wouldn't have been ensnared by the wiles of apples. There are lots and lots of possibilities. And of course, also, there is the method where you can create your own character and his own particular attributes or her own attributes to suit your own particular play style. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's well worth checking out. Now, I know that this is quite a departure from the solitaire games that I have played on this channel previously, but I wanted to show you that even though it is a role-playing game, it's still a lot of fun, and it's still really, really easy to play. And there are many, many more out there like this that are very accessible to the new player or somebody who just wants to have a casual little jaunt by themselves and have a little bit of fun. Yeah, so I hope that you liked this, and if you did, please let me know in the comments section what you think. There are a bunch of other games that I have my eye on and would like to play on this channel as well. Definitely some more of the solitaire card games, but I thought it would be fun to share, a couple different avenues of games that are out there as well. Let me know what you think. At any rate, listen, I want to thank you ever so much for joining me today. I hope that you liked it. If you did, please give a little thumbs up. Tell me what you think in the comments section. I'm totally open to whatever sort of, constructive criticism you might have. Just keep it constructive, And until next time, you know what to do, right? I want all of you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, stay playing fun, fabulous games, whether it's something like this or, with somebody you know and love and want to play a game together, have some fun. Yeah. And take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now, everybody, and have a great day.